Okay, so what you'll do is just click on this link. Go ahead and make a copy. And that'll open this thing up here. You're going to go through and model a plant cell. And you're going to do the best job you can to make it look like this model right here. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's going to look somewhat like that. And the whole purpose of this is so that you can get a good idea what the structure looks like, and then hopefully learn the function along with it as well. So I went through and did a couple of things for you already. I set the boundaries. So the outermost portion of this plant cell, if we look at this diagram, it's the cell wall. That's the thing that's found on the outside right here. So I went ahead and drew that in for you. And it's no more complicated than picking the shapes that are up here. So when you do the shapes, you got a couple of different options. I happen to pick the rounded rectangle. And then once I had that built, you can change the color using this pencil tool to whatever color you want. I'd say go ahead and keep it consistent. And then from here, I can change how thick this line is too. So if I really want to make it stand out, I could do that. Yep, so this is the cell wall. Now, in order to start to build, I want to actually see the process of you building it, which means I should be able to see slide by slide how this thing is coming together. You do need to also provide what the name of the structure is, describe how it's built or what it's built out of if you can, and then what it does. So structure, function, and biology is super important. So in order to stay consistent, what I did, if you go up to edit, you got to be actually clicking on one of the slides in the side menu here. You have to go to where it says duplicate, and if you do that, you have an exact copy of the slide. So that's how I ended up getting that particular coloration to show up, and it'll stay the same throughout, other than this one I just messed with right here, which I can go ahead and change that back to that darker green. We'll be good to go. All right, on the next one, I went ahead and made another rectangle. I didn't put any color on the inside of it. I went ahead and called that the cell membrane. So every time a new structure appears, you got to put what it is. And then you got to describe it and tell me what it does. So you can just get that definition right from your book. Or if you don't have a book handy, you go to the internet and get one. Just make sure whatever definition you pick that you can understand it. So if I start to see a whole bunch of strange words I know you don't know, which after doing this long enough, I know what you probably don't know when it comes down to these words, it's probably not a good definition. So try to get something that you can actually read and then that makes sense. There should be plenty of definitions out there just because everyone who takes biology studies cells at some point in time. So that's what we do next. So I made it from there. Now I'm going to have you guys just kind of follow along. The next thing that's on my list, if I just work down, is this Golgi apparatus right here. So we're going to do that. So click on slide 4. Actually go to the side menu here. And then you can either go to edit, duplicate, or notice there's a shortcut. I happen to like the shortcuts, the keyboard shortcuts. It's just Control D. And I should have a duplicate. So 4 and 5 right now should look exactly the same. Okay, so I click between them, I shouldn't see anything changing. Okay, click on 5. Now let's go ahead and change that up. So the next thing we are going to build is the Golgi apparatus. So I go ahead and type that in. It's Golgi. And I'm going to put a colon. Then I'm just going to look in my book. And in your book, it's in chapter 4, all the cell parts. There's 2 big models that have the name and what they do on page, in this case it would be 69 because it's the plant cell. We're doing a plant cell, not an animal. So if I look up Golgi apparatus, it says it processes, packages, and secretes modified proteins. Okay, now there's nothing that tells me the structure here, so you might want to look at the structure. You really need both, structure and function. This should probably be within the endomembrane system, so if you just kind of flip through the book and find the bold term that says Golgi apparatus, which is found on page 72, it says that it is consists of a stack of 3 to 20 slightly curved, flattened saccules whose appearance can be compared to a stack of pancakes. So I'm just going to add in, I'm just going to shorten that down, 3 to 20 saccules. meaning that they're separate membrane structures. I'm just going to add a connecting word here that processes, packages, and secretes modified proteins. It's now got a decent definition. And the way I did that, I just looked on page 69, and I flipped over to page 72 in order just to get a good working definition. If you wanted to probably get a overall good working definition, just go to the glossary in the book, and I bet you can get most of that there. Okay, now we're going to need to add in the Golgi apparatus, and it looks like, in this case, like pancakes or dinner plates or bowls, something like that. Something that's kind of oval shaped and elongated, and it looks like it's stacked. So a good place to start, see if there's any shapes that are already pre-made that might work. So I looked through the shapes. Do you see anything that's somewhat curved? The moon? Okay, there's also looks like a rainbow, the block arc. This arc right here is just one line, so that doesn't work really good. We need something that looks like it's enclosed. And so I'm going to go ahead and pick the moon. But if you pick something else and it looks close to it, you're probably going to be okay. I would say the happy face and the heart probably shouldn't be in your drawing just because nothing really looks like that inside the cell. But you can make and manipulate some of these things to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the moon, and I'm going to go ahead and start to draw it in. And I'm going to mess with it. So I'm going to click and drag it, move it around, flatten it, elongate it, until it looks something like that. And all I got to do if I'm not sure is go back and see if there's something that looks somewhat similar, and it does. It isn't perfect, but it's not bad. You can color it however you want to color it. They colored theirs orange. You don't have to color yours orange. Just make sure whenever you do this that you click on it. And when I click on it, that gives me the options then to add fill color. So there's a little paint bucket that's up there. Let's make it red. Again, the color doesn't matter. You can pick the color. Once I have this, if I want to try to maybe move it so that it kind of is sitting at a similar orientation, when you click on it, there's a top button with a line that comes here. If you grab that and you can start to click and drag it, you can rotate it. If I want to put any outline color on it, I can. So if I want to do like a red and blue outline, that'll show up. If I want that outline to be thicker, I can just go right next to it. There's these different line weights. You can give it the particular look that you want to give it, whatever you think works good. Now, if I'm pretty happy with this, I'm like, okay, this looks like one of the components that makes up the Golgi apparatus. What can I do so I don't have to go through that whole process again? Copy, paste. So select it, go to copy, and then edit, paste. What's the shortcut for copy, paste? Yep, Control C, and then if I hit Control V multiple times, I can get as many of these as I want. Okay, another tool that's really handy, Control Z, will undo. So I can quickly take care of mistakes, which is why I like this digital side. Because if you do mess up, it's very easy to fix. So I'm going to go ahead and get 4 of those. If I go back and look at my original model, they're not all the same size. They seem to get smaller working their way down. So I can click on one, grab the corner, little side-to-side arrow. I can mess with their sizes. Yep. Oops. Remember, Command Z. Command Z will fix any new issue that you just created. So that one's not too bad. I'm going to make one other recommendation just because it's easy to show on this one. Click on one of these. Doesn't matter which one. Hold down your Shift key. And then click on each of the others. So what I just did is I selected those 4. Or if you only have 3 for now, that's fine. So what I did, just a quick repeat, clicked on one, hold the Shift key, click, click, click. Find the Arrange menu. It's at the top right here, kind of in the middle. And then what I want you to do is hit Group. Now the reason I want to group these together, if I want to move them and not have to move every single one, now that they're grouped, it's one image, so I can drag it around the screen. And let's say for some reason these are too big. I need to resize them. Well, if I grab the corner of this grouped object, they stay in proportions, which is handy. So anytime you can, when you draw multiple parts for one object, I would group them together. Just because it's easier to deal with later on. Let's do that again. To group them, I'm going to ungroup this first. Click on one, hold the Shift key, click on each one individually. Arrange, group. Let's do the next thing in our list. Next one's the vacuole, which is going to surround a nucleus. So go to slide 5 and duplicate it. How do you duplicate it?
Well, I tried to do Control D and it did not do it.
Uh-oh. Should work. Try it again.
Oh, I know how.
Just make sure you clicked on the slide. Remember, Control Z. Anything messes up, Control Z. That'll take you back to where you were before. Oh. If that happens, you can go to Edit and then just go Duplicate. Yeah, for a few of them, it will try to put a bookmark in. Okay, so our next one's vacuole, so immediately change this definition. And then you can look that up in your book too. So in the plants, they're called the central vacuole. It's a large fluid-filled sac that stores metabolites and helps maintain turgor pressure. Sounds like a good one. Describes it. It's a fluid-filled sac. Okay, it stores metabolites. Metabolites are just products that are typically produced when the cell's making its energy. A lot of these metabolites in plants are poisonous. This is where it stores them. Large fluid-filled sac that stores metabolites and helps maintain turgor pressure. All turgor pressure is water pressure inside the plant. So if you haven't watered a plant in a while, it wilts. It's because it has low turgor pressure. Okay, what I would recommend on this one, there's no good shape that really exists that does a good job of making something that looks like that vacuole. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our own shape. The best thing to use that we've found so far, you would think scribble would be pretty good, but you can't adjust the fill color on the inside. Use this tool called Curve. The way the Curve tool works is you're going to hover over a certain area and then you're going to push the left mouse button. So you're just going to start dropping points in. And every time you drop a point in, it makes an anchor point. And by the time you come back, it'll connect your dots together. Someone in the last class noticed that there seems to be a certain number of points you can put down, and after that, it just automatically connects. But for mine, I had no issues with it here. So we can call that the vacuole. Vacuoles being their fluid filled. Move that over. I'll make it again. Or like blue if you want to, since it fills with a fluid. Or you can do a light green like your model has. Your choice. Okay, I'm going to make another one, so I'm just clicking. So if I want to kind of curve it around the nucleus, I'll eventually put. If I bring it close together, you should notice it snaps together. It's up to you. And then the color's up to you too. I'm going to go light blue. Okay, there's the vacuole. So there's another tool that we went ahead and used. Okay, it is. Okay, go Control D. Let's duplicate. The next thing on our list is a chloroplast. For the chloroplast, I'm going to show you a picture of one. You guys notice the chloroplast looks like there's a series of circles that are stacked in there, or plates or coins. We're going to try to make it look like that. Okay, so make sure you duplicated slide 6. Make sure you click on it here. So it's got to be outlined in blue on the side. And then go to Edit, Duplicate. We're going to do the chloroplast next. So let's put that in. Chloroplasts, according to your book, says it carries out photosynthesis producing sugars. All right, I'm going to look. I want to get some of the structure, so I'm going to go ahead and look in the dictionary. Chloroplast, membrane-bound organelle in algae and land plants with chlorophyll-containing molecules, or chlorophyll-containing membranous thylakoids, where photosynthesis takes place. Let's just call it a double membrane organelle, because it does have two membranes. Organelle, if you've never seen that term before, literally translates into miniature organ. Okay. What shape does the chloroplast have on the diagram? Kind of an oval shape. So I'm going to go and make an oval. I'm going to do just one of these, and once I get them all put together, I'm going to make multiple copies of it. So I'm going to drag it out till it looks like an oval. What color is a chloroplast? Green. So what I would do is you could pick like a light green on the inside, or leave it transparent. And I'm going to make the border green for sure. The line color. That's hard to see right now. Circle tool. Right here. Yep, they just drag it out flat. I'm going to make this line thicker. How do you do that?
The little thing next to that.
Got it. Looks like a stack lines. Seems like the 8 works okay. If you go too big on it, so I went 24. I don't know, it kind of loses its structure a little bit. But again, you make the choice. If you think it looks okay, go with it. As long as it somewhat resembles this. Okay, now the inside of these chloroplasts have these little stacks, these circular flattened stacks. So what I'm going to do, in order to see a little bit better, you can go to View, and you can zoom in. Then you can just grab the sidebar here, or I think you can use the, nope, looks like you got to grab the sidebars. So I moved it to 200% so I can see just a little bit better. And what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to go ahead and drop small flat ovals to the inside. And I'm going to make them green. Okay, now if I'm like, okay, that's a decent size oval, I like how it looks, I need more of them, copy and paste them. So all you got to do is hit Control-C once. And I can use my arrow keys to bump them. Okay, I'm probably not going to fit any more like that.
Wait, do we fill them that color?
I would. I think it looks better. Okay. Now I'm going to make a recommendation right here. We want to copy all 3 of them because it goes faster. Go ahead and group these together, just like we did before the Golgi. So hold the Shift key and click on each one. And then go up to Arrange. Group. Now, once I have these together, copy, paste. And I can just kind of move them in the cell. If you don't group them, it would probably still work. It's just much easier to group them. Now I want multiple copies of this thing too. So you can group the groups that you have. So I'm just going to click and hold the Shift key, select those 3 and the outer membrane, and group them. Because now what I can do, how many chloroplasts does our model have? 3. I'm going to make 3 copies of this. There we go. Chloroplast done. And then if I need to zoom out so I can get a better idea of where it's sitting, go to your zoom. Looks like I might have accidentally bumped my cell membrane, so I'm going to fix it. Every now and then you'll click on one thing and it selects something else. So it's very easy to accidentally move the wrong. There it goes again. Now if you want to, you don't have to have them all facing the same way. You can move them around a little bit. You can rotate them. Oh, and for some reason, I changed this here. This needs to be Chloroplast control. Okay. So what I'm going to have you guys do from here, you guys start just figuring out what looks good. So you got a couple options. You can combine some shapes together if you think you can, or you can flatten them and do those kind of things. Just start working down the list. So the next thing would be a mitochondria, which is another oval. You could, once you're inside that oval, use that curve tool to make these different curves. If you notice in the shapes, clouds are on the inside. You could drop like a cloud on the inside of it, flatten it down, change the color. That'll give it kind of a similar appearance. Do whatever you think looks about the same, is all I'm going to say on that. And you guys can talk to each other. If you have want some suggestions, I can try to help you out there. But basically, just start creating, see what you can come up with.
I keep grouping them, but it won't group the things in the middle.
All right, so I think you grab this here. So that's part of your group right now. So go ahead and ungroup it and try it again. Make sure that's ungrouped. Yep, it is. All right, so we'll group this one. Now we copy it. Should work. Yep. Yeah, so all that happened is you ended up getting this big border as part of your group.
Okay.
So I was having trouble trying to figure out what you wanted to select.